Good evening, grave robbers, and welcome back to the television graveyard. We are your TV necromancers, Lara Prince and Noah Houlihan. We have come here tonight to examine the spirits of the past television shows to find out which ones could be resurrected, should be resurrected, and which ones should just stay doomed. This is a podcast in which we will analyze the history, the hype, and the aftermath of shows that ran only one season or only one episode. Like this one. With me, as always, is TV's Noah Houlihan.
It's an all-new Friday.
So, today we are doing Dot Comedy, which was one of those one episode that we speak of so often.
Yes, it's a one-episode wonder that aired on a Friday night on ABC, and it was considered lost media for a very long time.
Yes, it was. And then it resurfaced not long ago thanks to a YouTube user named Kev the Ripper.
Yes, shout outs to Kev the Ripper, who provides quite a service. We are new subscribers to that channel.
You're going to hear him come up probably a considerable amount in this season of Stay Doomed.
Yeah, so happy new season of Stay Doomed, by the way.
Yes, happy new season of Stay Doomed. I think he's going to be someone we reference frequently.
Yes, he's got a lot of good stuff on his channel.
And he has a lot of things that had been considered lost.
Yes. He's doing great work in the lost media community.
So, one of the things I deeply love about Kev the Ripper is that he leaves the original commercials in, which I think is going to be a very fun thing to do.
This is clearly a VHS rip of when this originally aired on ABC, because we start with the very end credits of Two Guys and a Girl.
Yes, which is one of Noah's favorite shows.
I love Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. At some point, they get rid of the pizza place, and it just becomes Two Guys and a Girl.
Yes.
And I don't know why it's not on any streaming channels. It's Ryan Reynolds,
and Nathan Fillion.
And Nathan Fillion, yeah, there should be a demand for Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. Very unique show. Lots of, special non-canon episodes. I could do a whole thing about Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. I don't know why it's not readily available to stream anywhere.
Yeah, I don't know why it didn't jump into that Friends, Seinfeld, Frasier pantheon of 90s sitcoms that still enjoy that second syndication life.
Yeah, I don't get it. But we get the end of that, and then it's time for Dot Comedy.
Which begins with a fascinating disclaimer.
Yes, it begins with a warning.
Please be aware that the content of websites is constantly changing, and on occasion, certain sites may contain material or links to material of an adult nature, or which may otherwise be inappropriate for younger viewers. Parental supervision of your children's internet activity is strongly advised.
Yes, and it's a good thing that warning was on that episode, because guess what? I went to every website that they talk about.
Oh, R.I.P. in peace, computer.
So I can tell you exactly what happened to each one of these websites. So we'll be going through that as we go through this episode. I guess we should tell you the concept of this. Dot Comedy, the best way to describe it would be an America's Funniest Home Videos for the internet.
I kind of thought about it as ye olde Tosh.0.
Yeah, it's similar to Tosh.0
It's
as well.
Tosh.0's great grandma.
But this feels so much like America's Funniest Home Videos in that our host, who are the Sklar brothers,
Yes.
who are fantastic stand-up comedians. They're still working today. You might see them on After Midnight every now and again. They come out.
They were the commentary team for BattleBots for a very long time.
Yeah, they were BattleBots. They're also they have a cameo in Always Sunny as Q102 DJs.
And
the Q Crew.
Hey everybody, DJ Squirrely D and Fat Michael here from Q102. The Q Crew. Coming to you live from Patty's Pub. Kicking off our old-time dance marathon where the owners have put up their bar as the first prize.
And they worked on the Oblongs.
Yes, they worked on the Oblongs.
The Q Crew, oh my gosh.
Yeah, I knew that would have an effect on you.
Yeah, we're from the Philadelphia area, so Q102 was in the 2000s, when this would have been happening, because this was aired December 8th, 2000.
Yes.
Q102 was the cool radio station.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I don't know if it's still the cool radio station because I haven't been following what radio stations are what in quite some time.
The cool radio station is Spotify.
Exactly.
In any case...
Specifically my trashy Spotify.
The way that the show works is the hosts come out, they kind of set up a clip, they show the clip full screen and talk over it, and then it cuts back to them.
Yes.
That's basically what it is. Unlike America's Funniest Home Videos, is they tend to only show a clip. Like, in America's Funniest Home Videos, they'll be like, man, it's winter, so a lot of people went skiing, and then all of the videos will be of a theme of some sort. This, you get a video, and then it's like time for a commercial already.
Yes, I believe this episode ran short even for its time.
Yeah, it's very odd. So
you're going to get some exciting notes about the commercials?
I don't have any notes about the commercials, so I'm excited.
I do.
So
it also opens with dial-up noises, so anyone over a certain age if you watch this clip, you're going to have that Pavlovian, oh!
Yes.
Because I did. And we didn't even have dial-up. My family went right to DSL.
Yeah. I had dial-up for a little bit. But the way the show opens is our first video is something called Let's All Go to the Lobby.
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the...
Yes.
Created by Killfrog. And I was a big Killfrog fan.
Yes.
They were an animation site. They kind of had their own like cast of characters similar to like a Homestar Runner. But they often did like a reality show pastiche. So it was like Survivor and people getting voted off and things like that. And in this short animation, it is the Let's All Go to the Lobby cartoon with like popcorn and soda and hot dog characters singing Let's All Go to the Lobby.
Yeah.
And then they get eaten and they scream.
Yes.
It's the simplest joke in the world.
Absolutely.
But came from the internet and the internet's new.
Yes.
So that's good enough to be on network television on a Friday night during prime time.
A lot of this is so peculiar because of that. I'm going to be honest, I would have put this cartoon
in the middle?
Yeah.
Like before a commercial?
Yeah, I would have made this an intermission. Also, they do not talk about videos or pictures.
No.
MPEGs and JPEGs.
JPEGs.
And I will be honest with you, I don't know that I've ever heard or used the term MPEG in my life.
No, because it's MP4s is what we use.
Yes.
And like, I think there was a brief time where it was like, it's a QuickTime file. Because that was Apple. But like MPEG, definitely not a word I ever used. Quick note on Killfrog.
Yes.
Like I said, it was an animation site. If you go to killfrog.com today, it sells NFTs.
Oh.
You can see the original Killfrog animations on YouTube, though.
Good.
So if you're looking for this video, you can find it on YouTube.
I will say a lot of those mid-2000s era things have found a life, because when you were pulling this up on YouTube, the .comedy, you know what came up at the bottom? I'm not sure if you were looking at it.
I don't know.
Do you remember in the 2000s, this would have been a little after this would have probably been 2004, 2005, there was this game that was a maze.
Oh, Scary Maze.
And the maze walls got closer and closer, and if you hit the walls of the maze, there was a full screen jump scare of Linda Blair from The Exorcist with screaming over it.
Yes.
And I saw that, and the video was only like 30 seconds, because it was just showing the jump scare. But I found that very funny, because that's such a it's an early internet prank.
Yes. I was going to save this to the end.
I'm sorry.
I'll say this now. No. It's a fine transition. Is trying to explain the internet when it was an unknown thing to people. Because a lot of people today have always had the internet.
Yes.
But there was a time where the internet was new and no one really knew what the internet was. If you think back to the old days of film, there is a famous bit of footage of people going to see one of the first ever movies played in a theater, and it is a train coming at the screen. And everyone in the theater jumps up and runs away.
Yes, because they think the train's coming.
They don't understand, like, oh, it's a screen, it's just moving pictures, there's not a train coming at them. Scary Maze is almost the equivalent of that.
Yes.
Because you, as a new internet user, don't understand that something that's appearing to be a maze could be something else.
They tried this on me, and it didn't work. My dorm mates in college tried to send me this. I don't like mazes. I got frustrated and I gave up. Mm-hmm. And never made it to the jump scare.
Never made it to the jump scare?
Because I just was like, I hate mazes. This is stupid. Don't want to do it.
Because when this trick was played on me, it was sent to me in an email by my aunt, I believe, who said, like, this is footage of an actual ghost.
Oh!
Have you remember that one?
The car commercial.
It wasn't a car commercial. It was like a house, I believe.
Oh, the one I got was a car commercial.
And it was like, you can hear a ghost whisper something in the background. Make sure you turn your speakers all the way up.
Oh, I got a different one.
Was it a jump scare?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a car commercial. It was just a car driving through the woods. And it was like, if you look in the background, you can see a ghost in the woods. Mm-hmm. And then, like a skeleton pops out at the end and goes, wow!
Yeah, the trick is to not only make you watch something that has a jump scare in it, but convince you to, like, lean in close.
Yes.
Really look at the screen. And, like, really be paying attention to, like, listening for something so you can get really startled. I'm surprised that there's not a screamer in this show. Because that was such the internet.
I want to say screamers were actually after this.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, we're talking about, like, dorm mates sending it to us. So because that kind of brings me to the next thing in the show.
Yes.
Is we see a man pulled over for drunk driving wearing a cone on his head. And they go, that's George W. Bush.
Yes. Oh, let's really date this.
And the next shot is a guy picking pepperoni off a pizza he's delivering. And they say, oh, it's a manual hand recount of the pepperoni.
Yes.
If I had not already looked up the exact air date of this, I could have probably, within about 3 months in either direction.
Yeah.
Really 3 months in one direction. Told you when this aired.
Yeah, exactly.
This aired December 8th, 2000. Mm-hmm. A time where the United States did not yet have a president.
Yeah, for our younger fans, this was after Election Day when it was Bush versus Gore.
Yes.
And there was so much controversy around the election because there were these things called butterfly ballots that people argued were confusing and misled voters. There were these things called hanging chads where people would vote using something that would, like, punch out a square. This way, when it went through the machine, it would just look for the spot with an open, like, that light went through. But it wouldn't pop out. It would just kind of hang on by a corner. And when you put it through the machine, it would seal back up. And it wasn't counting that vote. How many votes did that happen to? How many votes were not counted? This was the big debate going on during this election. That's why we were like, let's count by hand, because the machine can't be trusted due to this error.
Yeah.
And luckily, this would be the last time that an election was controversial. We learned the lessons from that election, and nothing like this ever happened again. Anyway.
I don't know why you did this. I don't know why you brought that energy over here.
Next, we have a JPEG.
I have it in all caps. A great JPEG that someone emailed to me.
Yes. And it is literally just a picture of the Lincoln Monument with someone with a giant Q-tip cleaning the ear out.
Yeah.
Like, it is a very simple, basic Photoshop. And again, this was good enough for network primetime television because the internet was so new.
Yeah.
And like, every time they set something like this up, huge laughter.
Yeah.
From a studio of audience looking at a picture.
All right, and now here's a great JPEG that someone emailed to me.
Okay.
All right. Whoa. Okay.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's just, it's a very odd show.
So the next one is a pig walking through a lettuce patch next to a minefield.
Yes.
And then the pig blows up, and then it flashes up the discovery of bacon bits. And I was like, okay, that's why it's in the lettuce patch, because it's salad.
Yes.
Okay. So, my next note. Okay, I had owned a computer for exactly 3 months when this aired. I was trying to figure out, like, the internet at this time.
Yeah.
Like, because this is so situated in a very specific time period, I was figuring out exactly, like, where my experience with the internet was.
Right.
And I just remember repeatedly downloading wallpapers from the movie The Grinch That Stole Christmas.
Okay.
Like, that was exactly, like, this was what I was doing on the internet, probably literally while this was airing.
Okay.
And that, like, the height of comedy was my dad had, like, a screensaver that was, the little boy from The Sixth Sense.
Haley Joel
Osment telling Bruce Willis, I see dumb people, and then a Pepper's ghost of, like, George W. Bush.
Yeah.
So that, like, making fun of George W. Bush for being dumb humor was all over the place, even before he was president.
Yes. This cartoon with the pig exploding comes from buddygrenade.com, which is now gone.
Aww.
So then we go to our first commercial. I don't have notes about the commercial, but if you have notes about the commercial, please let us know.
Oh my god, old ads. Oh my god, gift certificates. An ad for Chicken Run.
Yes, on VHS.
And then the only two other ads I make a comment on are an ad for the movie Junior. Because remember when, like, showing a movie on TV was a big deal and not just something that they did when there was nothing else to run?
Yeah, the big Sunday movie.
And Disney Auctions by eBay, which does not exist anymore, I looked.
No, that
one I looked, because I was like...
We come back and we do this weird thing where, like, a robot voice just recommends some websites to us.
Yes, the .comedy browser.
And it recommends eTractions, which has the game Whack-a-Flack, which is about office warfare. It was like a flash game where you could throw, like, paper airplanes and flick rubber bands at something. I could not find this.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how it was spelled.
It was probably a Flash game, too, which means it's dead.
Which means it's dead. It also, this was interesting, did a promotion for GlobeExplorer.com.
Google Earth, but crappy.
Which was Google Earth before they had the technology to perfect Google Earth. It was just like, yeah, you'll get a satellite image of, like, any place you want. But, like, it was blurry and in black and white. Because Google Earth did not exist yet.
Yeah.
I went to GlobeExplorer.com, and it's now a travel agent's website.
Oh. The other one they have is the virtual yes man, where you type something in and he just tells you what you want to hear.
So it's even dumber than that. This comes from Shock Monkey, which I also could not find any evidence of.
But I remember
existence.
that one.
Well, Shock the Monkey was like a very popular ad that would show up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you would go to a website and there would be this ad across the top of the screen that said, like, win a $50 gift card if you can shoot the monkey with a laser. And when you clicked on it, and then there was like 100 other rules after that.
Yeah.
That made it impossible. But the virtual yes man, you didn't even type anything in.
Huh.
You would say something out loud, and then you'd press a button, and he would say something like, "That's another great idea." It was basically an audio-based magic 8-ball that only said yes.
It reminded me of, for those of you who had smartphones early on, the weird novelty apps that were all over smartphones. Like, do you remember there'd be one where, like, it would show your phone screen as a full beer, and then as you tipped it, the beer would run out?
Yes.
It had that energy to me of, like, we have technology and we don't know what we're doing with it, so we're just gonna play with it.
And what I find especially interesting about this moment is they're trying to make the virtual yes man agree to things to make their brother look bad.
Yes.
And Anthony's the one's name? Anthony and Randy?
Jason.
Jason says something like, does Randy have an affinity towards something? And the virtual yes man responds with something like, that's why you're the boss.
Randy still thinks Hands Across America was a good idea.
That's why you're the boss.
Yeah, baby. Okay. In your face. All right. Okay.
And then he turns and goes, in your face, Randy. The joke didn't work. He didn't say yes there. And they keep that in the show.
And there's no implication.
Retake it.
Yeah, I wanted to say, there's no implication that this is being filmed live.
None. Like, there's a live studio audience, but it's not airing live.
But they regularly will refilm things with live studio audiences.
Yeah.
That happens all the time.
So, like, that just showed the lack of caring this show has. Because, like, they obviously blow a joke. And they just pretend like they didn't.
Yeah.
Like, rather than reference it or reshooting it, they're just like, yep, that one is planned.
No, that sucked.
Stupid. That then brings us to urban75.com.
Yeah.
This is a website that they use to learn dance moves.
Yes, and we meet another host here named Annabelle.
Yes. Annabelle Gerwick.
Yes. And they show online rave dancing based on normal activities.
Yes. You seemed like you were familiar with this website.
I was not familiar with the website. I was familiar with the dances.
Oh, okay.
Because I remember, like, because I'm very cool. We would do these at, like, theater parties.
Yeah, I'm aware of, like, the lawnmower, the sprinkler, and, like, the shopping cart. But they were doing, like, the ringing of the church bells.
Yeah, which, if you notice, they said the ringing of the church bells, and then I immediately started doing it before they showed the clip.
That is true.
When we were watching it, I was like, I remember this. These, like, dopey, very silly dance moves.
So you've never been to urban75.com?
I don't think I have, no.
Okay. If you go to urban75.com right now, it is alive and well and unchanged since 1991.
Wow.
It's one of the earliest websites, and it looks exactly like that. Everything still works. I was on there and, like, just clicked around, and I ended up playing a game of checkers. Like, if you want to know what early 2000 internet browsing looked like, head to urban75.com.
That's
what it looked like, and that's what it was.
That's so wild.
Lots of dated humor on that site right now.
So, Annabelle also shows us a man named Curry who is doing things.
Yes, this comes from rubberburner.com. It was I guess because he was in, like, a tracksuit.
Right.
That, like, he was burning rubber, I guess. Or maybe he had cars or something like that.
And she just talks about how hot he is.
Yes. And they show a video of him doing, like, the Zoolander pose.
Yeah, pre-Zoolander.
Yeah, where he's a tiger.
Yeah.
And it's just, like, him smoldering into the camera. And then it zooms in, and he goes, rawr. And they show it, like, 3 times.
Yeah, and they bring him back later in the show, too. I also have that Curry forcibly reminds me of independent wrestler Dalton Castle from Ring of Honor.
Yes.
Just same energy. Roughly same facial hair.
Yeah. I also want to say that Annabelle Gurick is dressed very 2000s in that her clothes are very shiny.
Yes.
The 2000s were peak shiny fashion.
Yeah, it is. When people say, like, oh, it's Y2K fashion, this is literally what they're talking about. It is the most Y2K fashion to Y2K. It is Y2K'd too close to the sun. Commercials!
It's time for commercials. Laura, we throw now to Laura with our commercial update.
There's an ad for Honey Flu, which has the most 90s graphic design on the box, and I'm so charmed by it that I don't know what the rest of the ad entails. We get one of those legendary, like, priceless ads.
Oh, yes, the MasterCard.
Sleeping bag for his first sleepover, $40. Backpack, $18.
Sorry about that. Hey, buddy, you couldn't sleep, huh?
Walkie-talkies, $25. Going home, priceless. There are some things money can't buy. For everything else, there's MasterCard.
And it's like sleeping bag, $40. Backpack, $20. Walkie-talkies, $15. Going home, priceless. Because it's like a little kid who's like coming home from his first sleepover because he wasn't ready to stay the night not at his house.
Yeah.
And all I could think of was that, like, I would have chosen to die over calling my parents from a sleepover unless I was in mortal danger.
Yeah.
Like, if it was just sleep badly and be scared, or call my parents and go home, I was gonna sleep badly and be scared. Like, I would have called my parents if I was gonna, like, in life or death situation.
Right.
But I would have not wanted to risk the privilege of ever getting to do it again.
Right.
It's Holt! It's Holt!
Yeah, so Captain Holt shows up to give us a PSA.
Yeah, the actor, Andre Braugher.
Yes.
He was on another show at the time, and he was doing, like, a PSA about violence. But he still like, he's very serious, so it feels very Holty.
Yeah.
And it made me laugh. And then there was an ad for Mervyn's, California, because this was the LA affiliate. This was ripped from the Los Angeles ABC affiliate.
Right.
So Mervyn's of California, I assumed was a regional department store chain.
Yes.
And it appears to have gone defunct in 2008.
Okay.
It was owned by Target for a while. At the time this was airing, this was owned by Target. But it never really got off the West Coast. But what I found interesting about this ad was the spokeswoman was extremely normal looking.
Yeah.
Like, she looked like somebody you would just see walking by, and I found that really interesting.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like we have homogenized beauty in a lot of ways and beauty standards. So seeing just a very, like, normal looking person being a department store spokeswoman
Right.
was really interesting to me.
Yeah.
All right, now we are back with more .comedy browser.
Yes, the .comedy browser recommends howstuffworks.com, which is still around, and definitely one of the first websites I ever learned existed.
Yes.
It's just a website that tells you how stuff works. You want to know how batteries, car engines, the toilet, you want to know how that stuff works? Howthatstuffworks.com. It still works.
My note under it is, I miss this internet.
Yeah. It's also presented in a way that doesn't look like how it looks now, that is unpleasant to look at.
I miss that. I miss ugly internet.
Yeah. Then check out urban75.com.
Because it is... The internet used to be very gaudy and very busy looking. And the minute there was any new technology, every website had to have, like, a stupid little video intro that you had to sit through to get to the website.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine if every time you opened Reddit, like, the little dude had to, like, pop out of a door and go, like, hello, welcome to Reddit.
Yeah,
That was, like, every website in this time period.
Yeah, there was also the time where, like, websites had, like, transitions. Where, like, you would go to a new website and rather than it just load, it would star wipe in.
Yeah.
Sign our guest book.
Under construction.
It's under construction. Look how many people have been in this website.
They're definitely not all me. refreshing my website.
Then we have what I find to be the fatal flaw in the entire show. Jason asks Randy,
Let's see if you've learned anything about the internet, okay? I'm going to throw out a question to you. All right. What do you call an individual who creates and operates a website? Okay, I wouldn't call those people. I don't socialize with those people at all.
because we have to be in this situation where the website and the internet is weird.
Yes.
Like, this is, like, the whole show feels like this was, hey, the internet's this new exciting place. Check out all the cool stuff that's here. And they had to include a joke that's like, oh yeah, but they're weirdos. That's why we're not on the internet.
Yeah, there was still the othering of the internet.
Yes! And this is not a show that's embracing the internet. This is a show that's pointing and laughing at the internet and expecting the internet not to be in on the joke. And that's the problem with this show.
Which leads in really well to the next segment.
Yes, because what he's supposed to respond is a webmaster. Someone who owns a website is a webmaster. And this would be a reoccurring segment on the show where they talked to a webmaster.
And I thought this was fascinating.
This is a very interesting bit of television.
A correspondent named Katie goes to visit a man who runs a website called the Air Sickness Bag Virtual Museum.
Yes, airsicknessbag.com.
And I thought this was so, like, one of my favorite things in the world is someone who is super into a thing it has never occurred to you to care about.
Yeah.
And so she's talking about, like, he has, like, binders full of air sickness bags that he's showing her. What's the biggest air sickness bag?
Yeah.
And, like...
he has them framed on the walls.
Yeah. But she tries to, like, make him feel bad about it.
Yes, it's very frustrating because he's like, hey, I have all these air sick bags. I think they're fun to collect. And, you know, I thought it'd be cool to have, like, a museum to them. And her response is something like, yeah, but this is just your apartment, right?
This is the actual air sickness bag museum right here in your apartment.
Well, the actual museum is on the web, but I have bags up here.
And it's actually your apartment.
It's my apartment, yeah.
Like, oh, you came here just to insult this guy.
Which was really gross.
He talks about how he sells merch, but his only merch is a poster of all the different bags. And he's like, does it sell well? And he's like, no, not really. Because he's a loser. Because he has a passion that you don't understand.
And I thought this was super interesting.
And the, like, real frustrating thing is the very end, where she's like, what's your favorite?
Actually, right now, my favorite bag is one I got recently. It's a Debonair. Now, the people at Debonair decided, you know what, we are not going to just go with a plain white bag. No, we have to actually put a purple stamp on it. And that's what they did. They put a purple stamp on it. That's what really excites me.
And he's joking when he says that.
Yeah.
This is what really excites me. He is joking when he says that. And then they play it off like this is a guy who's aroused by air sickness bags. Which he's not. He gave you a joke for your TV show. This infuriates me so much watching this back. And now I think is a good time to tell you. I watched this live.
Really?
Yes, I watched this show live. And the moment it ended, I went to airsicknessbag.com and looked through a bunch of different airsick bags. And let me tell you, I think about it every time I get it on an airplane. Every time I get on an airplane, I always check what the air sickness bag looks like.
Yeah.
Because of this website, because of this show. Because I know that there's a guy out there that really cares about it.
I mean, barfbags.com still exists.
It was airsicknessbags.com.
It has moved.
Okay, because air sickness bags don't go to that website. It goes to something that looks like a scam.
Oh, no. Because I Googled, because I didn't know the URL. So I searched Air Sickness Bag Museum. And the top thing that comes up is barfbags.com. And that very much looks like...
Is it the same guy?
Serving your barf bag needs since 1997.
Okay. I want to get this guy on the show.
All right. And the poster still exists, but when you try to click on the link to buy it, the link is broken. There was also a Washington Post article called, like, Meet the People Collecting Airplane Barf Bags, but since I don't pay for the Washington Post, I can't read the article.
And nor shall I. But yeah, I remember watching this and thinking this was really interesting, and I think they treat this guy who, like, gave this television show an afternoon of his time very poorly.
And, like, he's one of the only really, truly interesting things on there.
Yes! It's not just, look, here's a thing we stole off of killfrog.com.
Yeah.
This is them actually producing a piece of content. And, like, I couldn't imagine someone watching this, seeing that interview, and then being approached to be on the show as a webmaster going, absolutely. Because they're going to treat you poorly.
Yeah, like, they're gonna be rude. Now, something I found very interesting is on the Lost Media Wiki, the claim is that Katie goes to a computer expo. But that must be a clip from another...
Yeah, she does not go to it. Yeah, Katie is the reporter who I looked into, and it does not appear like she did anything big.
Yeah, Katie Puckrick?
Yes, I couldn't find her doing anything.
Because it says the most popular clip was Katie traveling to a computer expo to see the creations that other people have made to know if consumers would buy them or not. A desktop mirror that can be clipped to the side of the screen, which
None
exists.
of this. I have not seen any of this.
And then, like, a mouse that could also be used as deodorant. And it was the clip that I think was around. Other episodes were completed, but never aired and have never resurfaced.
Interesting.
I mean, it took years for this episode to resurface.
Yes.
And this was the one that actually aired. So I thought that was very interesting. There's a few other clips that seem to make the rounds from time to time. But I thought this was super, like... I thought them looking at a curated collection of something kind of bizarre was what I think was one of the best things about the early internet.
Yeah, I mean, like, in watching this, because it's 2000, this would be a key time where I was watching Dean Cain's Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yes.
And that show was just like, hey, look at this weird thing. But they never treated the people poorly for having a weird thing. They treated them as interesting individuals who had a unique quality. It's just, it really upsets me how poorly they treat this man.
It's gross.
Yeah.
But not unusual for the time period.
Yeah.
So, they also, instead of using an actual joke, they make a thing where they say a buffet instead of a buffet.
Yeah.
Like, I know the Sklar brothers later do better work. Mm-hmm. They're terrible in the show.
We could take a moment to talk about the Sklar brothers. The thing about the Sklar brothers as stand-up comedians is that they're twins.
Right.
So they, like, finish each other's sentences, and they kind of bounce off of each other, and, like, because they're twins and they're so in sync, it's very easy to continue the same thought from another person. Like, it almost seems... This is me kind of being pompous. It almost feels like comedy being done by a barbershop quartet. Because it's the same thing being spoken, but by multiple voices. Like, that's the experience of the Sklar brothers. I actually really like the Sklar brothers.
Yeah.
ABC seems to be going out of their way to make them less identical.
Yeah.
Like...
One of them has a little bit of facial hair.
Yeah. Jason comes out in a suit with glasses and, like, a bad, like, goatee.
Yeah.
While Randy comes out clean-shaven, no glasses, in a hoodie. Like, it seemed like there was a note from ABC to be like, these guys look too much alike. We can't have that. It's like, no, that's why we hired them.
But they also didn't make it a point to try to make that the bit, that, like, the one in the suit and glasses was, like, the adult, and the one in the hoodie was, like, the cool one who was with it.
Yeah. They still try to be the Sklar brothers.
And the writing doesn't support that gimmick either. So they just fall flat in their faces.
Yeah.
And it's not... They've obviously found a lot of success since then. So this didn't ruin their careers. But this was not a good fit.
No.
Like, I'm sure a big piece of it is ABC. I'm sure a big piece of it is the writing. Because it does have that faintly corny Bob Saget era America's Funniest Home Videos feel. Mm-hmm. But just like a little meaner.
Yeah.
And a little less of the, like, Bob Saget does silly voices over the video.
Like, the next thing they show is a JPEG of a man kissing a girl with a beard of bees.
A beard.
Like, going back to it, a beard of bees is a thing I've seen 100 times on Ripley's Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that, like, strange, just because I've been desensitized to it. But it's also being presented as, like, this man has a beard full of bees. What a weirdo. Like, what do you... You go try it. It's, I'm annoyed.
I have a note that says ballet movie. What?
I also have a note that says ballet movie. I have no idea why. Mine says ballet Dave Pool. Possibly Dare Pool? But that's all my note says. I have no idea what this is referring to.
It's just a video about a guy talking about ballet. It's like a weird, very late 90s, very
it's an animation.
2000s.
It's an animation with a guy with no nose talking about ballet.
Favorite pastimes? Ballet. I definitely have to say definitely ballet because, we used to go see the ballet when I was a kid, and, those people really jump around and they got really, really strong toes. They can stand on their toes for 5 minutes, and I really admire that. I used to think football players were tough, but that was before I saw the ballet.
I think Dave Pool is the creator.
Oh.
Couldn't find anything on it, and it was not that memorable, clearly.
It looks like that very Saturday morning cartoon when we first got computer animation. That, like, cheap, bad, creepy.
Yeah, like, the bad animations that were used for, like, Nickelodeon commercial spots.
Yes.
We then go to commercial. Do you have a commercial update for us?
I do. So what we get here is we get a Kmart ad, which I always find interesting. Something I thought was very maddening to me was nothing had prices. Like, nothing read out how much anything was. Like, now $9.99, because I was curious.
Right.
About what prices were back then, because this is before I was actively paying for a lot of things. I know at this time period I made about $10 a week in allowance. But I was like, how far did that get you at that time? There's also an ad for The Emperor's New Groove.
Yes.
And I see why this movie didn't do super well. The ad does not do the movie justice at all.
No.
And it's been a Stay Doomed episode that I've considered pitching for quite some time. There was a documentary called The Sweatbox.
Yeah, Sweatbox was greatly considered for a Stay Doomed extra for a little bit.
And it did finally make it out. And it is about the making of what at the time was being called Kingdom of the Sun. And was going to be a more standard Disney animated musical.
Right.
And later turned into what we now know as The Emperor's New Groove. But it was going to have music by Sting. And I want to say it was someone, I want to say maybe it was Sting's wife who was doing a lot of this footage that eventually becomes the documentary The Sweatbox.
Huh, okay.
Then we see an AOL ad, which my note is AOL ad LMAO. A Make 7 Up Yours ad, which was another iconic late 90s, early 2000s ad campaign. And then something I found crazy interesting was there was an ad for digital cameras.
Yes.
Which I will be honest, I did not realize were present this early.
Yeah, they were bad. They weren't as good as film when they first came out. Because you had to print them yourselves and nobody had a quality enough printer, as well as the lack of megapixels in the camera to make those pictures sensible. But yeah, there was a time where we had to actually buy cameras because there wasn't one built into the phone.
For some context, this was, because I did make it a note, this was a 2.1 megapixel camera.
Yeah.
I just looked up what megapixel camera specs.
I feel like the iPhone is 21.
I think it's got to be more than that.
It's literally...
Because my kind of cheap unlocked phone is 48 megapixels.
Oh, okay then.
I'm now looking up what it is on the newest iPhone because I'm just genuinely curious. This is saying 12 megapixels, which doesn't seem... Oh, yeah, 48. Okay. I think 12 is the front-facing camera.
Gotcha.
Which is super good. Yeah, that's the front-facing camera. So the front-facing camera, which we all make fun of on our phones, was 6 times more powerful than this digital camera.
Yeah.
Because I remember I got a digital camera in the mid-2000s, and that was my child.
Yeah. I got one too, and I was told never to take it anywhere because it was expensive.
Oh, mine, by 6 months in, had clearly seen some more. And then we have Colleen Haskell from Survivor slinging lip balm.
Wait till your lips feel this. New Blistex Complete Moisture, the only lip balm with moisture inside. Wow, moisture like you've never felt before. Discover what your lips are missing. New Blistex Complete Moisture.
Yeah. And I found this to be very indicative of the time period again.
Yes.
Because there were not a lot of reality stars. So all of the reality stars could make money after the show.
Well, Colleen was kind of the breakout star of the original Survivor. You know, you would think it would be like...
Richard Hatch,
who won, or Susan and Kelly, who had like the big let nature take its course and have the snake eat the rat. But
yeah.
Colleen, like, not only does she do this this lip balm commercial, she's the romantic lead in Rob Schneider's The Animal.
Yeah.
And like she also does like a couple other things. I remember her being on like the Rosie O'Donnell show.
Yeah, she was on an episode of That 70s Show.
Yeah, Colleen was like the first to be like, I'm going to try to make this a career now. This will be a stepping stone. And now that's like what everyone tries to do.
Yeah.
No one's going on a reality show not to then become a celebrity.
And there were so many fewer then, because I believe 2000 is the first season of Survivor.
Correct, because of the writer's strike.
So what we have here is there's just not a lot of reality stars yet.
Yeah, I mean, Survivor was the first, really, besides The Real World. It was the first competition reality show. And then we get, like, Big Brother and The Mole a little bit later. And then it starts to blow up.
I'm very excited because I'm thinking about this time period right now because I'm starting to read a book called Cue the Sun.
Right.
That's about the long history of the reality television show, and I'm just super excited because I just got it out of the library. And that'll be maybe I'll do a little review segment on that.
Okay.
Because it's kind of relevant to our interests.
Sounds good.
And we get an ad for Babelfish.
Oh, I believe this is part of the...
Are we back in the browser?
Yeah, we're back in the browser.
Okay.
The browser gives us babelfish.altavista.com, which, wow, Alta Vista, that's a thing I hadn't thought about in a while. Basically, it's Google Translate before Google Translate.
Yes.
That website's dead. We then get an ad or a browser plug for dumbboss.com, which was a game where you could attack your boss.
Yeah.
This is dead, but I went to this website after I watched this show. This is the other site I remembered from the show that I went to besides airsicknessbag.com. And it was just an animation of a guy going like... And then like you could throw a plunger at him and it would get stuck over his mouth and then he couldn't talk anymore. There was like maybe 4 things you could do to him. And that was it. Like, today on the internet, you wouldn't even consider that a game. You wouldn't consider that an app. That is just like... That's nothing.
Yeah. It feels like the commercial you get between rounds in your free-to-play game.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good description of it. So then we go back to Curry.
Annabelle and Curry.
Yeah. Annabelle, who's seated on a completely different area of the set. The set is way too big.
For sure.
For what they're using it for. And they surprise her that they have another Curry video called Curvy Peacocks. And it's just this guy doing some stuff again. Yep. And then the show ends. Like, there wasn't a lot for this last segment. And then, like, we get full credits. We don't even get, like, the credits off to the side thing.
Yeah.
Like we got for Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. It's just, like, full credits and the camera's, like, moving around and you see, like, the audience, the hosts, and also, like, the crew, like, calling for camera switches and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know why. And that's the end of Dot Comedy.
Yes, it was pretty widely panned. It was just kind of... the LA Times just thought it was not funny.
It wasn't.
Here's the opening quote. What happens when unfunny TV comedy and unfunny internet comedy intersect in prime time?
Unfunny.
That's the scenario for Dot Comedy. This is clearly in that TGIF is no longer in the same family-friendly place, and TGIF doesn't know what to become.
Yes, we do not have TGIF anymore. After Dot Comedy, Norm plays, which is a Norm Macdonald sitcom.
Yeah, and then after that would be Madigan Men.
And Norm was a bit racy.
Yes.
From what I remember. Because I believe it used to air in tandem with The Drew Carey Show. Because it was similar levels of, like, comedy. Of, like, same audience is what I'm saying. So yeah, that comes on at the end, and here's the thing, gang. Watching this today, hated this. When I watched this live, I loved this.
Really?
Because at this time, we didn't really have the internet. We had a computer. Listen, children, to my tale. We had the internet through something called Juno, which was a free internet provider. But if you used it too much, they would say, you've used too much internet, you may no longer use it during peak hours unless you subscribed. And then what I would have to do is completely uninstall it and install it again, get a new Gmail or new Juno account so that I could then go on the internet and think I was a new user. So on top of that, I shared the computer with my parents and my sister, and they wanted to be on it all the time. So the idea of me using this new tool, this new thing, the internet, for my own, like, entertainment was something I didn't get to do very often. And when I did get to do it, I didn't really know what to use it for. So I was like, oh, this television show will lead me to the things I want to watch on the internet. I was also banned from Newgrounds at that point, so.
That's fascinating.
Mm-hmm. So, like, I saw this as a window into the things I wanted to get into, because I thought the internet was fascinating, but I couldn't access it.
Huh. In this different families, in this time period, my father had just acquiesced to getting the only two things I had ever wanted in my life, truly. A computer and a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, fall 2000 was a banner time for the Prince household. Mm-hmm. And I had free run from after school till about 4:45 when my father came home. Mm-hmm. That was like an hour and a half every day where the world was mine.
Yeah.
That being said, I didn't know what to do at the end. I played a lot of Elf Bowling.
Elf Bowling was a classic.
And I got an AIM. I got an AIM account like ASAP. Like Instant Messenger. Mm-hmm. But we had broadband. We went right to, like, DSL broadband. I never had to do the whole, like, hang up the phone, I need the internet thing.
Right.
But that's because we kind of got a computer very late. Like, most of my friends had computers by the time I got one.
Yeah, I want to say that we got broadband internet when I was a junior in high school. Because I remember when I took driver's ed, part of the program, like part of my assignments, was I had to bring a news article in about driving once a week. To just kind of be like, hey, they're talking about, changing the speed limit on this road. So every week I had to get a newspaper and find an article and cut it out. Well, all the rest of my classmates were just printing out articles about prototype cars from this one website.
Huh.
Because it was at their fingertips instantly. And I had to, like, Dad, I need a newspaper. Is there anything about cars in here?
That's so weird.
Right? Another thing, though, about my family, I'll tell this quick story, and then we'll get back to the show.
There's not really any show to get back to.
Yeah, that's true. Is we were always told at this time, the beginning parts of the internet, to beware the internet. The internet is dangerous. And that, like, it was not a place for children.
No.
And make sure your kids don't put, like, their real name or their address or their phone number on the internet. The way that my little sister interpreted that was, there is a group of people on the internet looking to stab people in the face. But they can't do that until they know your name and your address. So anytime I went on the internet, there was someone trying to stab me in the face that I was just gonna say, hey, this is where I live, come stab me. So there was always this fear whenever I was just like, I'm gonna look at this new website, that maybe it was an evil website.
I do remember evil websites.
What do you mean? There was no evil websites.
I know. I remember my parents being, like, very worried about where I was going and whether I was going to download a virus onto the family computer.
Yeah. Also, let it be known in podcast form that my dad went on a bunch of websites, got a bunch of viruses, and I took all the heat for him. All right? I never even got a thank you.
We played a lot of elf bowling. Like, my father...
You and my dad?
No, me and my dad. Like, my dad and I would just be like, elf. Like, we were very simple people. But yeah, like, I remember we would just watch, like, funny videos, and I spent a ton of time on Harry Potter websites. Mm-hmm. Like, I lived on the MuggleNet website. Because I remember, like, when they were announcing things about the Harry Potter movie that would come out the next year, I was like, I'm just waiting for that poster to load, baby.
Yeah. What we're trying to say is we could do this show better. And if you want a 2000s internet special episode, let us know in the comments down below. Or join our Discord where you can talk to us directly about the things you'd like to see here on the new Season 7 of Stay Doomed.
6 seasons and a 7!
Where can people find us? Oh, I'm sorry. We didn't give this a rating.
No, Stay Doomed, though.
Yeah, it's
bad.
It's a Stay Doomed. It's not very good. Up the Sklar Brothers, down the show. Where can people find us, Laura?
You can email us at thestaydoomedshow@gmail.com or on Facebook and Blue Sky at Stay Doomed.
Yes, and if you want to talk to me about your favorite dead website, I'm at TV's Noah on Blue Sky.
And if you just want to talk about the old, stupid Flash games we all used to love, I am Laura Crane. I'm just at Laura Crane on Blue Sky. Until next time, stay doomed.